The first thing my ex-wife placed on the judge's desk was a calendar with 68 dates circled in red. The second was a photograph of our 9-year-old daughter asleep beneath my office desk. Rachel's attorney held the photograph by its edges as if it were too important to touch. This was taken at 11:43 on a school night. Mia Bennett was 8 years old. Her father was upstairs managing an electrical failure. I kept both hands flat on the table. Mia was not in the courtroom. That was the one decision Rachel and I had managed to make without lawyers. Mr. Bennett calls this parenting, her attorney continued. We call it abandonment with better lighting. Rachel sat across the aisle in a cream suit I had never seen before. She did not look triumphant. She looked at the photograph and pressed her lips together, as if seeing Mia curled under my spare coat hurt her too. The judge glanced at the red circles. 68 emergency assignments in 2 years? 68 disruptions, Rachel said. Nights, weekends, school events. I am not saying Noah does not love our daughter. I am saying love is not the same thing as being there. A chair moved behind me. My attorney touched my sleeve. Do not turn around. I knew who it was anyway. Camille Vale never entered a room quietly, even when she made no sound. Your Honor, she said, those dates are mine. I turned, despite the warning. Camille stood in the back row, wearing a dark navy suit, her black hair pinned low at her neck. She carried the same narrow leather planner I had seen on her desk for 6 years. She walked to the rail, opened it, and held up a page covered in blue ink. Camille Vale, Chief Executive of Vale Urban Systems, she said. Mr. Bennett reported directly to me during every date opposing counsel circled. Their description is incomplete. Rachel's attorney rose. Ms. Vale is not a scheduled witness. She is on both disclosure lists, my attorney said. Opposing counsel subpoenaed her employment records. The judge looked over her glasses. Ms. Vale, sit with counsel until I decide whether I want testimony. Camille did not look at me as she took the empty chair beside my attorney. She placed the black planner on the table and opened it to the first red date. In the margin, in Camille's precise handwriting, were 6 words. Noah, unavailable. Mia, school concert. Do not call. She turned the page. Noah, remote only. Mia fever. Another. Noah declined Chicago. Parent conference. Another. Noah off-site. Mia's birthday. I cover. The calendar Rachel had brought showed the dates the company had declared an emergency. Camille's showed what I had done about them. My throat tightened. The judge read 3 pages in silence. Then she looked at Rachel's attorney. You may question Ms. Vale after the recess. Until then, I suggest everyone stop using the word proof, as though a calendar can raise a child. The gavel did not strike. Family court was quieter than television. The judge simply removed her glasses, and the room exhaled. Camille closed the planner. I leaned toward her. What are you doing here? Answering a subpoena? You were not supposed to speak. Neither was Rachel supposed to turn my schedule into evidence that you abandoned Mia. It is not your schedule anymore. Her eyes finally met mine. Gray, steady, and much less calm than her voice. That is not what the board thinks. The judge called a 20-minute recess. Rachel stood before I did. She crossed the aisle and stopped at our table. 6 years earlier, she had left a note beside Mia's cereal bowl and a key on the counter. Now she looked at Camille's planner as if it were a weapon. You kept a record of every time he chose his daughter over your company? She asked. Camille stood. She and Rachel were almost the same height. The difference was that Rachel leaned forward when she was angry. Camille became still. I kept a record of every time my company asked him to choose. And how many times did he choose the company? Camille did not answer quickly enough. Rachel looked at me. That is why we are here, Noah. She walked out with her attorney. Camille waited until the door closed. The photograph is from the Harbor Exchange outage. I know. You told me Mia was with your sister. My sister's son broke his wrist that afternoon. Her husband was overseas. Every sitter I called was booked. So you brought Mia into an active operations center. She was behind 2 security doors with a licensed childcare attendant from the tenant lounge. Then why is she under your desk? Because the attendant went home at 10, the backup transformer did not arrive until 11, and Mia refused to sleep in your office because she thought she would wrinkle your sofa. Camille looked down at the photograph. My coat was wrapped around Mia like a dark tent. One small hand rested against the toe of my shoe. You should have called me, Camille said. You were in Singapore. I had a phone. You also had a merger. Her jaw tightened. Do not defend me in a custody hearing I helped create. You did not create Rachel. I created 68 red circles. My attorney, Samir Patel, slid the photograph into a folder. You can both prosecute yourselves later. Right now, we have a problem. Opposing counsel will argue that Ms. Vale's calendar proves an unusually intimate relationship. They will say Noah received accommodations because he is involved with his employer. If they imply instability or favoritism, it weakens us. Camille's expression did not change. We are not involved. Samir looked at me. Mr. Bennett, we are not involved. The answer came cleanly. It still felt dishonest. For 6 years, Camille had known which coffee shop stayed open after midnight, which school entrance Mia used in the rain, and that I never answered a call during the first 10 minutes after waking her from a nightmare. She knew because running half the city's emergency infrastructure required knowing exactly when I was available. I knew Camille hated elevators when they were crowded, called her father every Sunday, even though he never remembered the day, and kept peppermint tea in her desk for headaches she refused to admit she had. We were not involved. We were simply threaded through each other's lives so tightly that pulling one strand moved everything. Samir gathered his papers. Then both of you need to sound less like a married couple arguing over who forgot to call. Camille looked away first. I found Rachel near the courthouse vending machines. She was holding a bottle of water without drinking it. You kept that photograph, I said. Mia sent it to me. That stopped me. When? 8 months ago. She does not have your number. She found me through the art museum website, my staff page. Rachel had become an education coordinator at a museum in Boston. I knew that from the custody petition, not from her. She contacted you without telling me. She asked what my favorite color was. Rachel. Then she asked if I still hated thunderstorms. Then she sent the photograph and said, Dad had to save a building again. She put a laughing face after it. The vending machine hummed between us. Why did you wait 8 months to tell me? Why did she think she had to hide it? Because you left. Rachel flinched. I hated that some part of me was glad. I left you, she said. I told myself that was different. You left a 2-year-old. I was 25, Noah. I could barely get out of bed. Every room in that apartment felt like it belonged to the version of me who had already failed. You handled everything so calmly that I thought Mia did not need me. She did. I know that now. The words were quiet. They did not excuse anything. They did not sound like an excuse. Rachel twisted the cap from the bottle. She should not sleep under desks while you save buildings. She did it once. She should not know how to make herself small enough for you to keep working. I stepped closer. You do not get to disappear for 6 years and come back fluent in what she needs. And you do not get to make absence the only sin that counts. The courtroom door opened. Samir called my name. Rachel took one drink and threw the bottle away. I am not asking the judge to erase you. I am asking for primary custody in Boston, stable hours, a school where the roof does not leak, a house with 2 adults. Andrew is not her parent. Neither is Camille. She walked past me. Camille watched me return to the table. She did not ask what Rachel had said. She opened the black planner to the harbor exchange date and wrote one new line beneath the old entry. Mia at Operations Center until 11:43 p.m. Noah did not call. The judge allowed limited testimony. Rachel's attorney began gently. Ms. Vale, why did you record Mr. Bennett's personal obligations in your executive calendar? Because he directed emergency field operations for 23 buildings and 4 transit hubs. If he was unavailable, I needed to assign someone else. Did you make those notes for every executive? For every executive whose absence materially affected coverage. How many executives have entries reading Mia Fever, Mia Recital, or Mia Birthday? 1. Mr. Bennett, yes. Would you describe your relationship as close? I would describe it as consequential. The attorney smiled. That was not my question. It was my answer. Did Mr. Bennett receive scheduling privileges unavailable to other employees? No. He negotiated protected parenting hours after his divorce. I approved them because losing our most capable field director would have been expensive. So the accommodation benefited your company. It benefited both. And when an emergency occurred during those protected hours, Camille glanced at me. Too often, Noah answered anyway. Because you asked him. Sometimes. How many times? Camille opened the planner. On the 68 dates, counsel identified, my office contacted him 27 times. He responded to 19. On 8, he declined. On the remaining dates, he was not contacted or handled the issue remotely during hours Mia was asleep. 19 interruptions in 2 years. Yes. Including the night this photograph was taken. Yes. And you are here to prove he raised his daughter alone. Camille's voice cooled. No one raises a child alone. I am here because your calendar suggests he chose work 68 times. My records show 19 occasions when my company intruded on his parenting. Those are not the same fact. The judge wrote something. Rachel's attorney picked up the photograph. Did you know the child was at Harbor Exchange? No. Would you have stopped the work if you had known? Camille hesitated. Ms. Vale, I would like to believe I would have. That is not an answer. It is the only honest answer I have. For the first time that morning, Rachel looked at Camille without hostility. The judge scheduled a custody evaluation, ordered that Mia remain with me for 21 days, and prohibited either parent from moving her out of the county. Rachel received 3 supervised visits the first week, then 2 unsupervised day visits if the evaluator approved. It was not a victory. It was a clock. Outside the courtroom, cameras waited at the base of the steps. Vale Urban Systems had spent the previous month negotiating a public transit modernization contract. A custody dispute involving its field director should not have interested anyone. Camille Vale, walking into family court with a private calendar, interested everyone. Samir swore under his breath. No statements. Rachel's attorney guided her toward the side exit. Camille's communications director pushed through the crowd toward us, pale with controlled panic. Camille, the board is convening in 40 minutes. They want clarification on the nature of your relationship with Noah. Tell them there is no relationship to clarify. 3 microphones lifted. A reporter called, Ms. Vale, did you falsify executive records to help Mr. Bennett retain custody? Camille stopped. I touched her elbow. Keep walking. She looked down at my hand, then at the cameras. The entries are contemporaneous and will be verified, she said. The failure described in court belongs to my company, not to Mr. Bennett's daughter. Camille, I said. Another reporter shouted, Are you romantically involved with him? Camille's face became unreadable. No, I answered. The single word cut more sharply than I expected. Camille nodded once. Mr. Bennett is correct. We walked in opposite directions. Mia was building a cardboard courthouse when I picked her up from my sister's apartment. She had used cereal boxes for walls and a paper towel tube for a judge. Aunt Tessa says real court does not have a jury for this, she said. Aunt Tessa is right. I added one anyway. The jury is cats. Fair. Cats are famously impartial. She held up 2 paper figures. One had my black hair drawn as a solid square. The other had Rachel's auburn hair and a green dress. What did the judge say? I sat on the floor beside her. She said, "You stay with me while we all talk to someone whose job is to listen." Do I have to pick? No. Mom said you work too much. My chest tightened. When did she say that? On Saturday. She said Boston has a room for me with a window seat. Andrew built it. That sounds nice. I do not want a window seat if I have to leave my school. You do not have to decide today. Mia placed the paper version of Rachel inside the courthouse. Did Ms. Vale really come? She was asked to. Did she bring the black book? Yes. Mia smiled for half a second. She writes everything in that book. Apparently. Even when I beat her at chess. Especially when you beat her at chess. Mia drew a third figure. Long black hair, navy suit. She placed Camille outside the courthouse walls. Why is she outside? I asked. Because she is not family. The answer was simple. It should not have hurt. At home, a letter from the custody evaluator waited under the door. Home visit Wednesday. School interview Friday. Parent interviews the following Monday. Mia read the first line upside down. Is she checking if our house is dirty? Probably. Then we should hide your laundry chair. It is not a laundry chair. It has not been a chair since March. She ran toward my bedroom. I looked at the kitchen calendar on the refrigerator. School dates in green. My on-call schedule in black. Rachel's new visitation times in red. For years, every square had been a problem I could solve by writing smaller. That night, I opened my laptop after Mia went to bed. There were 37 unread messages from work and one from Camille. Effective immediately, all emergency field authority transfers to Deputy Director Luis Ortega. Noah Bennett is on administrative leave through the custody evaluation. Full pay. No access restrictions, no performance finding. I called her. She answered on the first ring. You should be asleep. You suspended me. I placed you on leave, without asking. The board wanted an internal investigation. Leave prevents them from claiming you altered records. I did not alter anything. I know. Then put me back. No. The word was quiet, not executive. Camille, we have a switchgear replacement at Mercer Station Thursday. Luis can handle it. The supplier answers my calls. Then Luis will learn how to make them answer his. You cannot remove me from my job because my ex-wife embarrassed the company. I removed you because your daughter has 21 days before a judge decides where she lives. That is my problem. That sentence is the problem. I stood in the dark kitchen, phone pressed too tightly to my ear. The board thinks we are involved, I said. We are not. Again, clean. Again, dishonest in a way neither of us could name. Then stop making decisions that look personal. It is personal. Silence. Mia shifted in her room. Her mattress squeaked through the wall. Camille continued, softer. I asked you to leave her 19 times, maybe more that I did not record correctly. I told myself you could say no. I built a system where saying no meant knowing a station might stay dark or a building might stay unsafe. That is not a choice. You trusted me. I used you. Those are not the same. They can be. I leaned against the counter. What happens to you? The board reviews my conduct Friday. Because you testified? Because I admitted the company knew about your protected hours and contacted you anyway. The transit committee has asked whether our staffing model depends on one person violating his own contract. It does not. Good. Luis can prove that while you are home. You planned this before court. I drafted it last night. You knew Rachel had the calendar. Her subpoena request described it. And you did not tell me. Your attorney had the same request. That is not an answer. Camille breathed out. If I told you, you would have spent Sunday building my defense instead of yours. She knew me too well. Wednesday, I said. The evaluator comes at 6. If there is an emergency, do not call. I will not. Even if Luis asks. I will turn off my phone. You have never turned off your phone. Then perhaps the city will finally learn to survive us. The line went quiet. Good night, Noah, she said. Good night. Neither of us disconnected for several seconds. Mia's first supervised visit with Rachel took place at a family services center painted in cheerful colors that made everyone look guilty. I sat in the waiting area while a social worker led Mia through a door. Rachel arrived carrying a canvas bag full of art supplies. She likes mechanical pencils now, I said, not crayons. I brought both. She hates grape juice. I remember. She did not when you left. Rachel stopped. Do you want me to fail? I want you not to pretend 6 years can be repaired with the right snacks. I am not pretending. Then why primary custody? Why Boston? Why not start with weekends? She looked through the small window in the door. Mia was lining up pencils by length. Because I know what happens if I ask you for a little, Rachel said. You will give me exactly a little. Supervised afternoons. Birthday phone calls. One holiday if it does not interfere with school. You will make a reasonable plan, and every reasonable step will keep you in control. You left me in control, yes, and you became so good at it that there is no room beside you. The social worker opened the door. Ms. Mercer, you can come in. Rachel looked at me. I am asking the court for too much because I am afraid you will offer too little. She went inside. Through the glass, Mia did not run to her. Rachel did not force a hug. She sat across the table and took out a mechanical pencil. Mia examined it, clicked it twice, and pushed a sheet of paper between them. They began to draw. I wanted to hate the ease with which Rachel leaned over the page. Instead, I remembered how she used to sketch faces on grocery receipts while I compared prices. I remembered Mia as a baby, watching Rachel's pencil move. Love did not make Rachel safe. Absence did not make her unreal. Both facts could exist. I hated that most of all. The custody evaluator arrived Wednesday at 6 sharp. Dr. Lena Ortiz wore flat shoes and carried no clipboard. Children perform when adults take notes, she explained. I remember better when they forget I am watching. Mia showed her the laundry chair first. Dr. Ortiz inspected our 2-bedroom apartment, the school route, the food in the refrigerator, the emergency contacts taped inside a cabinet, and the small desk beside mine where Mia did homework while I handled remote calls. Who stays with Mia when you are called out? She asked. My sister Tessa is first. Our neighbor Mrs. Alvarez is second. A licensed agency is third. How often in the last year? Tessa, 9 times. Mrs. Alvarez, 4. Agency, twice. And the office? Once. Mia appeared in the doorway. Twice. I looked at her. The first time was when I was 5, she said. I slept on the blue sofa. I remembered. A water main had ruptured beneath Vale Tower during a winter freeze. Tessa had brought Mia to me after midnight because Mia would not stop crying. Twice, I corrected. Dr. Ortiz sat at the kitchen table. Mia, when your father gets a work call, what do you do? I check if the screen is red. What does red mean? People could get hurt. And if it is not red, I ask if it can wait. Does it? Mia looked at me before answering. Sometimes. Dr. Ortiz noticed. What happens if you need something while the screen is red? I wait until it is black. The apartment seemed to shrink around us. What if you are sick? Mia shrugged. I can get water. What if you are scared? I am 9. 9-year-olds get scared. Not during red calls. I stared at the emergency app on my phone. Red meant life safety. I had taught Mia that before she could read all the words. Dr. Ortiz asked me to step into the hallway. The door closed behind us. Mr. Bennett, your daughter is articulate, bonded to you, and unusually competent. Thank you. It was not a compliment. I said nothing. She has organized her needs around your availability. Children do that when they believe the adult's burden is more important than their own. I have never told her that. You did not have to. I am the parent who stayed. Staying is not the same as being reachable. Rachel's sentence. Love is not the same as being there. Dr. Ortiz's version was worse, because it was precise. Are you recommending she move to Boston? I am not recommending anything tonight. I am asking whether your current system is good enough, simply because it is better than abandonment. Inside, Mia laughed at something. The sound came through the door, thin and bright. No, I said. It was the first honest answer I had given all week. After Dr. Ortiz left, I found Mia sitting on the floor beside the refrigerator. She was copying our family calendar into a new notebook. What are you doing? Making a backup. Why? In case the judge takes this one. I sat beside her. The refrigerator motor vibrated against my shoulder. The judge does not want our calendar. Mom brought one. Her lawyer brought it. Ms. Vale brought one too. There was no clean way to explain that adults sometimes reduced a life to dates, because dates behaved better than memory. Mia tapped a square from the previous month. You missed science night. I came for the last 20 minutes. The volcano was already done. I know. It exploded sideways and hit Mr. Klein's pants. I heard it was spectacular. It was. She wrote a small red R in the square. What is that? I asked. Red call. Mia, that was not a red call. It was a pump fault. You still left. The distinction mattered to my company. It had not mattered to her. You are right. She looked at me suspiciously. I did not say those words often enough. I should have stayed, I continued. Luis could have handled the pump. Did somebody get hurt? No. Then why did you go? Because I knew how to fix it. Other people know things. The child had found the structural weakness in my entire life. They do, I said. Are you going to lose your job? No. I am taking a break. Because of me? Because I should have taken one before. She set the pencil down. If I tell Dr. Ortiz I want to stay here, will Mom disappear again? I had prepared for questions about court, Boston, Andrew, and school. I had no prepared answer for that. I do not know what your mom will do, I said, but you do not have to protect her by saying what she wants. You do not have to protect me either. What if what I want hurts somebody? Then the adults will handle being hurt. You do not handle it. You get quiet. I almost defended myself. Instead, I looked at the red R. Then, I need to learn another way. She leaned against my arm. We stayed on the kitchen floor until the refrigerator stopped humming. Friday morning, the Vale board summoned me as a fact witness. Samir told me that going would make work look more important than the custody evaluation. I went anyway because Camille was carrying blame for a system I had helped build. Security printed me a visitor badge. In the boardroom, my usual chair behind Camille was empty. Did Ms. Vale pressure you to violate protected parenting hours? The board chair asked. No. Did she contact you during them? Yes. Those answers conflict. They describe the system. My agreement said I could refuse, but I built an escalation plan with my name at the top. If I declined, I knew a slower response could put people at risk. Camille benefited from that. So did the board. So did I. And your daughter paid the cost. Yes. The admission hurt more than any accusation in court. The chair asked Camille why she had written details such as Mia fever, instead of simply marking me unavailable. Because Noah minimized the reason, she said. Personal sounded negotiable. Specific words made it harder to pretend I did not know what I was interrupting. Did that stop you? Not often enough. Camille then announced that Luis Ortega would retain emergency authority and that I would never again report directly to her. Vale could offer me a resilience design role under the chief engineering officer with no on-call rotation, or I could leave with my equity, severance, and references intact. You created a position during an investigation, I said. The position already existed in next year's plan. Without asking me. I am deciding what authority I should no longer have. You decide whether to stay. The board approved the transfer and placed a warning in Camille's record. Outside, I handed the role description back to her. "The calendar is not a list of what you did right," she said. "It is a list of what I watched you pay. Why did you write Mia Fever? Because the first time I called during a personal block, you answered from urgent care. She was asleep against your chest while you walked me through a transformer sequence. The backup team was stuck. I told myself that made it necessary. I wrote the truth so I could not forget what necessary looked like." The elevator arrived. "Did you ever want to call when there was no emergency?" I asked. Camille looked at me. "Every day." I stepped into the elevator and let the doors close before either of us turned that answer into another decision. Rachel's second visit with Mia was unsupervised. At the museum, they built a paper bridge and tested it with metal washers. At 5, Rachel returned her exactly on time. Mia carried a wooden pencil box Andrew had made. Rachel waited in the hall and handed me Mia's drawing. 3 bridges crossed one river. One led to a red house marked Dad. One led to a blue apartment marked Mom. The third stopped halfway. She said that one is for when adults have not decided where she belongs, Rachel said. Then she told me her attorney wanted to use Camille's board investigation. I told her Samir had requested Rachel's medical records from the year she left. Postpartum depression, treatment gaps, the inpatient program, she said. He wants to turn the worst year of my life into proof I can never be her mother. I had signed the discovery request without reading every attachment. I will withdraw it. Even if it helps you win? Yes. Rachel studied me. Andrew thinks I should accept weekends here for a year. He says moving Mia now would be selfish. He is right. I hate that everyone gets to be right about me. Mia's door opened a fraction. Rachel lowered her voice. I left because coming back after failure felt more shameful every day. That was my weight. Mia carried it. Then, withdraw Boston, I said. Build time here, and let you control the pace? We use Dr. Ortiz's pace. Rachel did not agree, but she did not refuse. I called Samir before she reached the lobby. Withdraw the old medical records. They are our strongest leverage. If I teach Mia that treatment can be used to take away her child, I still lose. He warned me that I might lose without them. Withdraw them. When I ended the call, Mia stood behind me. Were you fighting? No. I was choosing not to make your mom's worst year the only thing that matters. Does leaving still matter? Yes. Both. Both. She nodded and placed the wooden box on her desk. On Monday, Dr. Ortiz placed Mia's bridge drawing between us. Your daughter wants to stay in her home, she said. She also wants Rachel in her life. She is afraid choosing either desire will cost her the other. I told her she does not have to choose. Then stop asking the court to choose in absolute terms. Together we built a graduated plan. Rachel would have 2 afternoons and 1 weekend day each week for 3 months. 1 overnight every other weekend could begin after therapy and review. School and medical authority would remain with me for 6 months, then become joint if Rachel was consistent. No relocation. I disliked the plan because it required trust before certainty. That was why it was probably the right one. When I left, Camille was sitting on a bench across the street. Her sleeves were rolled up and the black planner rested beside her. My attorney is upstairs finalizing the recusal agreement, she said. I am considering the resilience role. Consider it without me. Engineering controls the position. I cannot hire, fire, promote, or discipline you. You built a thorough wall. I know how you feel about load paths. I noticed an entry on the open page. Noah said we are not involved. Correct answer. Wrong feeling. That is not an executive record, I said. No, you should not have shown me. Probably not. She closed the planner. You owe me nothing because I testified. If you leave Vale, every protection remains. If you stay, I have no authority over you. There is something, I said. There has been for years. I refused to name it while you controlled my livelihood, And while Mia already had enough uncertainty, Camille waited. "After the hearing," I said, "after the hearing, do not promise me an outcome. I will not." And she had finally learned to leave a question open. I was finally learning not to run from one. The night before the final hearing, Rachel called at 11:17. Mia was asleep. My emergency phone was powered off in a kitchen drawer. "Andrew ended the engagement," Rachel said. I sat up on the sofa. "Why?" He said, "I was building our marriage around winning someone else's child." "Mia is your child." "That is what I said." "Where are you?" "Outside your building." I looked through the window. Rachel stood beneath the streetlight with one suitcase. I went downstairs. She was shivering in a thin coat. "You cannot stay here," I said. "I know. I can call a hotel. I have one." "Then why are you here?" She handed me a document. An amended petition. Relocation withdrawn. Primary custody request withdrawn. Request for graduated parenting time and future joint decision-making. "My attorney says filing this before the hearing makes me look weak," she said. "It makes you look like you listened. Do not make me noble. I spent 3 weeks imagining Mia in the room Andrew built. I wanted the picture more than I listened to the child inside it. Why now? She called me tonight. She asked if I would still visit if the judge said no. What did you say? Yes. Will you?" Rachel looked up at our apartment window. Mia's paper stars glowed faintly behind the curtain. "I left because I believed coming back after failure was more shameful than staying gone. I am not doing that twice." I read the amended petition again. "I have a plan," I said. "Of course you do. 3 months before overnights, therapy, no relocation, review at 6 months. I want 2 afternoons. That is in it. Her birthday? 2 hours. Neutral place." "Your place," Rachel said. "If she wants." I looked at her. "I do not want Mia spending her birthday watching us exchange her in a parking lot." "Neither do I." "Then your place. If Dr. Ortiz agrees." "Fine." We stood under the streetlight, negotiating our daughter's next year, while the city moved around us. "Why did Andrew really leave?" I asked. Rachel laughed without humor. "Because I told him I would stay here even if I lost. His work is in Boston. He asked whether I was choosing Mia over him. And you said yes. I should have said it 6 years ago." She took the petition back. "Rachel." She stopped. "Mia has your green pencil in the wooden box." Her face folded for 1 second. She recovered. "Good night, Noah. Good night." The final hearing began with both attorneys announcing that relocation and primary custody were no longer contested. The judge looked irritated, which Samir said was a good sign. It meant the adults had wasted less time than expected. Dr. Ortiz testified that Mia was securely attached to me, wanted to remain in her home and school, and wanted a relationship with Rachel. She described Mia's habit of suppressing needs during emergencies. "Is that neglect?" Rachel's attorney asked. "It is adaptation," Dr. Ortiz said. "The question is whether the adults will change what required it." Then Camille took the stand. Rachel's attorney asked whether she still supervised me. "No." "Why?" "My judgment is personally compromised. Because you have romantic feelings for him." After a relevance objection, the judge allowed a narrow answer. "Yes," Camille said. The word crossed the courtroom without drama. It still changed the air. "Were you involved during the dates in your calendar?" "No." "Did your feelings affect his accommodations?" "The accommodations were contractual. I sometimes spent more political capital protecting them, because Noah had earned my trust." "Because you loved him." Camille looked at me. "Because he earned my trust before I understood that I loved him." The attorney lifted the black planner. "This calendar may show that he raised Mia, but it also shows your company interrupted him 19 times. Why should the court trust you?" "It should compare my entries with call logs, access records, school records, and caregiver invoices. They match. Where my conduct harmed Noah's availability, I have admitted it." Samir established that Camille could no longer control my job and that all protections remained if I rejected the role or rejected her. "What happens if he says no to you personally?" Samir asked. I become embarrassed and continue honoring the agreement. Even the judge almost smiled. When I testified, Samir asked why I had withdrawn Rachel's old medical records. Treatment 6 years ago does not prove she is unsafe today. Does it excuse her absence? No. Then why support a path toward shared authority? I looked at Mia's empty seat. Because she found her mother without telling me. She should not have to manage that relationship in secret. Rachel has to earn trust through consistent choices. I have to stop treating control as the same thing as safety. Did you abandon your daughter? No. I raised her. I packed lunches, learned braids badly, sat through fevers, and answered every midnight fear I knew about. I paused. But I taught Mia that some needs should wait until my screen stopped flashing red. I missed moments I could have protected. Being the parent who stayed does not make every choice I made correct. I asked the court to keep Mia's primary home and school with me, adopt the graduated plan, require counseling, and review joint authority after 6 months. "And your work?" Samir asked. I accepted the resilience role. No emergency rotation. Why? My daughter reminded me that other people know things. The judge issued the order that afternoon. Mia stayed with me. Rachel received the graduated schedule. Joint decisions could begin after 6 months. No move to Boston. "Consistency is a pattern, Miss Mercer," the judge said. "Build one." Then she faced me. "Being the parent who stayed does not exempt you from becoming a better one. I understand. Make sure your calendar does too." Outside, Rachel and I ignored the cameras. "Saturday at 10? She asked. 10. Bring the mechanical pencils." I bought 3 packs. "Do not compete with me through office supplies." No promises. Tessa brought Mia around the corner. I crouched in front of her. "You stay home. You stay at school. You see your mom Saturday." Mia looked at Rachel. "Are you staying here?" "I found an apartment 20 minutes away." "What about the window seat? We can build one later." Mia took one of Rachel's hands and one of mine. For 3 seconds, we stood connected by a child who should never have been made into a bridge. Then she released us. "Where is Ms. Vale?" Camille emerged from the courthouse as if summoned. Mia ran to her and hugged her. "Did Dad win?" Mia asked. "Your dad stopped treating court like something he had to win. That sounds like no. You remain home. Then it sounds like yes." Rachel thanked Camille for telling the truth, then followed Mia and Tessa toward the corner. Camille and I remained on the courthouse steps. "Are you still my boss?" I asked. "No." "Can you reverse my transfer or fire me if this goes badly?" "No." "Dinner. Tonight. 7:30. No board members, attorneys, or emergency screens." Her shoulders lowered. "Yes." You answered without checking the calendar. Some dates should be written after the decision. At 7:28, I arrived at the restaurant and found Camille waiting outside. She wore a dark green dress and no jacket. I had seen her face down, transit strikes, electrical fires, and a room full of directors trying to remove her. I had never seen her check her reflection in a restaurant window. "You are early," she said. 2 minutes. For you, that is early. For you, 7:28 is nearly late." We stood there smiling, like people who had forgotten how their faces worked. My phone buzzed. Camille looked at it. I took the phone from my pocket. A red emergency banner filled the screen. Mercer Station ventilation fault. Luis Ortega assigned. My thumb hovered over the alert. "You can check," Camille said. "I know." I silenced it and put the phone away. "Other people know things," I said. We went inside. Dinner was not cinematic. Camille ordered the wrong wine. I dropped a fork, and both of us tried not to discuss work for 12 full minutes. "What did you talk about before I worked for you?" I asked. "We met at work." That explains the problem. She tore a piece of bread. I like old crime novels. You read merger documents for pleasure. That is slander. I have seen tabs. Your turn. I restore radios. Camille stared at me. You do what? Old tabletop radios. Tessa's garage has 6. How have I known you for 6 years and never heard this? It never affected a building. That may be the saddest sentence you have ever said. I also make excellent pancakes. I knew that. How? Mia told me. You and my daughter discuss me. Mostly your weaknesses. How long is the list? She has a spreadsheet. We laughed. The sound felt unfamiliar and exactly right. At 9, Camille placed the black planner on the table. I brought something, she said. That object has caused enough trouble. This is the last page. She opened to December. Every square was blank except one. Tonight, 7:30. Dinner with Noah. No operational purpose. I read the line. You wrote it before I asked. At 2 this morning, confident, terrified, she slid the planner toward me with the pen. What am I supposed to write? Anything you choose. I turned to the following Saturday. 10 a.m., Mia with Rachel. Noon, fix radio number 3. 7 p.m., dinner with Camille. No emergency exceptions. I handed the pen back. That is a second date, she said. Your calendar needs accurate records. I correct inaccuracies. The phrase sounded familiar. This time it belonged to 2 people with equal power to leave. 3 months later, Mia's first overnight with Rachel began with 7 carefully packed bags and 1 missing stuffed fox. At 9:40 my phone rang. I cannot sleep, Mia whispered. I was already reaching for my keys. Camille sat at the kitchen table across from me. Halfway through losing a chess game she claimed was still mathematically recoverable. Do you want me to get you? I asked. Rachel's voice came through the phone. Ask her what she wants before you offer the escape route. Every muscle in my back tightened. Mia? I want Fox. Do you want to come home? Silence. I want Fox, she repeated. The answer was not the same. Rachel returned to the phone. I can collect him. It is almost 10. I know how clocks work. You have not driven this neighborhood at night. Noah, I stopped. Give me the chance to solve one thing before you turn it into evidence, she said. Camille did not tell me what to do. That was one of the new rules between us. She simply moved my keys away from the edge of the table and waited. I will meet you downstairs, I said. Rachel arrived 12 minutes later, wearing sweatpants beneath her coat. I handed her the fox through the car window. She can still come home, I said. I know. She asked me to get this. Call if she changes her mind. I will. Rachel drove away. Upstairs, I stared at my silent phone until Camille moved a chess piece. You left your queen exposed, she said. I am waiting for a call. You can do both. That sounds like something my old boss would say. Your old boss would have turned the phone face down and called it focus. I looked at the board. What would you do? Ask whether staying alert helps Mia or only helps you feel necessary. That is annoyingly specific. I kept records. At 10:23, a photograph arrived. Mia was asleep in Rachel's guest room with the stuffed fox under her chin. Rachel's message contained 4 words. She chose to stay. I read it twice. The ache in my chest was not loss. It was the unfamiliar pain of allowing someone else to keep a promise. I placed the phone beside the board. Your move, Camille said. For once, I did not check the screen again. 6 months later, our refrigerator calendar looked worse than ever. Rachel's days were green because Mia said red made them look like emergencies. Therapy was blue, school was purple. My work no longer occupied evenings. Rachel had not missed a visit. Joint decisions began in the 7th month. We disagreed, attended counseling, and returned the next week. Camille never tried to replace Mia's mother. She became the adult who played ruthless chess, remembered science night, and knew when to leave us space. On Mia's 10th birthday, She taped a new calendar to the refrigerator. It had 4 columns: Dad, Mom, me, and people who need permission. Under the last column, she wrote Camille. "Permission for what?" Camille asked. "Scheduling work during family time. Also kissing Dad in the kitchen." Rachel choked on her coffee. Tessa laughed. Mia handed me a marker. I wrote, "No work emergency during family time unless someone is actually in danger. Then, kissing requires permission from the people kissing." Camille leaned toward me. "May I?" I looked around the kitchen. Rachel repaired the leaning cake. Tessa was still laughing. Mia waited without making herself small. "Yes," I said. Camille kissed me once, gently. The refrigerator motor started humming. The calendar lifted in the warm air, and I pressed it flat. There were no red circles. No one had been erased. For the first time, every person on that page had enough room to be there,